Happy New Year, everyone. It is January 1st, 2024, and this is my first episode of the 365 Shares podcast. I'm calling it 365 Shares because I'm going to share a personal experience that I've had every day for the year, and I'm going to be guided by a different daily affirmation book every year. For this year, I've selected the Strengthening My Recovery Daily Affirmation book. And I'm not going to be reading the whole passage, but I do have some affirmations from this book that will be guiding my shares. And a share, for anyone who's not familiar with a 12-step program, is your opportunity to say whatever is on your mind, whatever you're feeling, whatever has inspired you from the readings in the meeting. And typically that's, there's a time limit. It's different on every meeting. Ours is typically 5 minutes per meeting. So I'm going to just share a little bit every day. This is really a therapeutic tool for me, just to sort of say what's on my mind, because I don't go to meetings every day, but I typically have something going through my mind every day that I'd like to get out there. And thank you for finding this podcast and for sticking with me. Just a disclaimer, as you can probably tell, I'm a little bit sick. I was with family on the East Coast for the holidays. I got a very nasty head cold, so I'm very congested. So that's why I sound a little bit, I'm sick. So Happy New Year. Today's affirmation, the topic is fellow travelers. And fellow travelers in ACA are other people who are in the program, working the program, friends, people you can reach out to who are going through the same things you're going through, you can work the steps with. Different than a formal sponsor or sponsee, just other people in the program. And I really think of these people as my family of choice members. People in ACA and the other recovery groups that I've been a part of treat me really well. They treat me with respect. We don't have any of the problems that I have had in my family of origin and continue to have in my family of origin as recently as the holidays of 2023. So I'm really thankful for my fellow travelers. And the affirmation for this passage is, on this day, I know that in this world I am not alone as long as I have my fellow travelers. And with that, I will start my share. My name is Steph. I am an adult child. I recently returned home from a trip to visit family on the East Coast. And it was not my best Christmas, for sure. It may not have been my worst Christmas. There have been a few Christmases. One was where I lost my grandfather in December right before Christmas, and that was horrible. And then my first Christmas after being separated from my ex-husband was really tough. But this is at least, third or top three. I don't know exactly how I rank them, but this was a tough Christmas for me. First of all, I was sick for 2 weeks before the trip, and I was really working hard to get better before the trip so that I didn't get anyone in my family sick. And I was, eating chicken soup every day and drinking green juice and taking my vitamins and trying to get enough exercise that I was working things through my system, but not so much exercise that I would overwork my system, and just had a lot of stress about just really that feeling of responsibility of not wanting to get anyone sick, but still wanting to go and show up and fulfill my obligations and see my family members. So pretty much got better by the time I got there with my partner. He was starting to feel sick a few days before the trip. So at that point, it was kind of just like, what are you going to do? I had been sick. He was now sick. We were managing it with, over-the-counter cold medicine and just sort of hoping for the best. And then my niece was sick when we got there and proceeded to get everyone else in the family sick with a different head cold that pretty much instantly turned into a raging sinus infection for everybody. And I'm still battling the sinus infection. I'm using my neti pot nose squirter thing, and there's all kinds of yellow crap coming out of my nose. But that's not really what made the holidays difficult for me. What really made the holidays difficult for me is that I've been having a lot of turmoil with my siblings the past, pretty much all my life, but the past year, things have been difficult with my brother and I. We have not been speaking very much, where he really likes to keep things sort of like cordial and on the surface and passive aggressive. And I would love to have a deeper conversation with him about, the underlying problems in our relationship. And he's just not interested in doing that. So I sort of played along, showed up, nice and happy, and, everything is fine. And there was an incident the day of Christmas Eve where I was just sitting, he had gone out with some of his kids to the arcade. I had stayed back with his wife and the younger kids who were sick just to watch a movie with them. He apparently didn't want me in his house, had tried to communicate through my sister that he didn't want me in the house with the kids, even though he was hosting for Christmas, and got back and, basically called my sister to leave what she was doing 15 minutes away running errands with her husband and pick me up. So she pulled up in front of the house with 7 minutes or so left of the movie that we were all watching. And they just said, your ride's here, like, get out of the house, basically. So that just started sort of a conflict between the two of us that I would say it sort of got resolved in the sense that I sensed after the fact that he was apologetic, but there was no real apology. And I don't think that there's any plans for us to like rehash or talk about it or work through any of this stuff. It just sort of is what it is. But then in that process, with my sister getting triangulated into the conflict that she shouldn't have been a part of as the sort of peacekeeper or enforcer, which is a role that she has taken on in the family, then that put the conflict between me and my sister, and that brought some things to light. Like we'd been getting along really well the past couple of years, but that brought to light some underlying conflicts that we had never resolved. So definitely a lot of conflict with siblings. Also had a family member decide to spend the whole day of Christmas with friends that he met online that he'd never met in person before, but they were all getting together for a tailgate, so he went to that, which is fine, healthy of him to do something that he needed to do for his own well-being. But just sort of like an interesting, I always feel like this obligation to be together with family because we've all traveled to be together and we hadn't been together all together in a long time. So just sort of a little bit of like people not on the same page, and that was hard. What I've really taken away from this for me is that it's time for me to lovingly detach from my family of origin for a period of time, to get back to my center, to get back to my 12-step program roots, and really just be surrounded by people who treat me with respect and who listen and who aren't really committed to these dysfunctional family patterns of codependency, of controlling, of being passive aggressive and manipulative. And I'm just going to take that time away. I'm not going to be a part of some of the family, calls that we typically have. And I'm not going to visit for a while, and I'm not going to talk to people on the phone for a while. And I didn't go out with like a big FU to them. I just told a couple people, I love you. I'm lovingly detaching. And, sent my sister a message that was something that I wanted to get off my chest. It upset her, and I'm sorry for that. I don't necessarily know if it was the right thing for me to do. It's not something that I am pretending that it was the best thing for her. It was just the best thing for me to get a couple things off my chest. And she said she was going to take some time to process it, and we're just going to take some time. But in all of this conflict, in starting a new year with my partner and my friends in my recovery group, supporters, my fellow travelers, I'm feeling so much of a renewed appreciation for these people, these fellow travelers, these other adult children who are committed to living more healthy lives, being more introspective, healing their inner children, becoming the people that they would like other people to be, instead of just expecting other people to do more without doing more themselves. And I love going to these meetings, and I love seeing people, young people in their 20s who are still so young, and I'm so in awe of them finding this program early on and being introspective and holding themselves accountable early on, because I think that's going to set them up for such better lives in the future. And, people more in the middle age bracket, and then, even people that their parents and, of adult children, actual physical adults there, and their grandparents there, which blows my mind. Like, I wish so much that my grandparents had found this program, because I think it would have been really helpful to them. So, yeah, I think the theme of this very first podcast, this first share, January 1st, 2024, on fellow travelers, is that I'm just so thankful for these people. Anyone who's in recovery, who's thinking about finding some type of a program, finding therapy, finding a support group, an online forum, anything that you can do for yourself, for your health, for your well-being, for your loved ones, for whatever it is. I just really hope that in 2024 you find your people who are there for you and support you and treat you the way that you want to be treated. So that is my share. Thank you for joining. I will I will be posting every day this year on a different topic, a different share. And if this helps you, great. And thank you so much for joining.